This video is on using the distributive property. What the distributive property says is if you have something in front of parentheses, that number in front of parentheses means to multiply. And what it means to multiply is everything inside the parentheses by the A. A times B is where we get AB, plus A times C. There's our AC. The distributive property works if there is a minus inside the parentheses. It is still A times B minus A times C. So the number outside the parentheses is going to be multiplied by everything inside the parentheses. An example here, the 5 in front of the parentheses tells me to multiply 5 times 2x and to do 5 times 6. 5. You can write out the 5 times the 2x, or you can do it in your head. In the first couple slides here, I will write it out. That was our 5 times 2x. Then we're going to do plus 5 times 6. Now it's time to do arithmetic. 5 times 2x, we can do 5 times 2, which is 10x, and then 5 times 6 is 30. These two expressions are equal. They are just in different form. This is in factored form. This is where we have simplified and gotten rid of any parentheses. That is using the distributive property. 3 times the parentheses 5x plus 7y minus 9 means I need to do 3 times each of those things inside the parentheses. So writing it all out, the 3 times 5x is right there. Come back and do 3 times 7y is right there. And then do 3 times negative 9. Now you can think about this negative 9 like here as a plus and negative if it would make it easier for you. That's why the sign here is plus 3 times negative 9. What's left is to just do the arithmetic on there. So 3 times 5 is 15, 3 times 7 is 21, 3 times negative 9 is negative 27. Another problem with a 6 outside the parentheses, we're going to multiply 6 times everything. And in this case, I'm not going to write it out. So it's up to you if you want to write out every step or not. Hopefully after you've done enough of these, you can just look at this and in your head do 6 times 2x is 12x. 6 times 5y is 30y. 6 times negative 3, think about this as plus a negative. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18z. If you have a negative in front of the parentheses, you need to think about that negative standing for the opposite of. This negative right here is saying, do the opposite of what's inside here, meaning change all of the signs. That used to be a positive 3x. If I'm going to take the opposite of it, it's going to turn into negative 3x. This used to be a negative 5 because I could think of this as plus a negative 5. So that used to be a negative 5. That says do the opposite, which is going to make it a positive 5y. Inside the parentheses here, this was a positive 2, so the negative out here tells me to change the sign and make it become negative 2x. Now some people prefer to think about there being a little negative 1 here and then actually distribute negative 1 times each of those, and that works fine also. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. Negative 1 times negative 5 makes positive 5. Negative 1 times positive 2 makes negative 2. So either think of it as the sign, do the opposite, or pencil in a little negative 1 there in the front. Just don't do both at the same time. So in my mind, a negative sign outside of the parentheses changes the signs of everything inside the parentheses. Whether you just think change the sign or you think put a negative 1 in here and distribute the negative 1. So this negative in front of here is just going to change all of those signs. Used to be a 6x, so now it's a negative 6x. Used to be a positive 3y, so now it's a negative 3y. Used to be a negative z, because that's a plus and negative, and now it's going to become a positive z. If you multiply by a negative factor outside here, you have to do your multiplying, but you also have to think about the signs. Might be a good idea from the beginning to think of that as plus a negative. So negative 2 times 4x is the first part. Then negative 2 times negative 3. It's negative 2 because that's what the coefficient is here. It's negative 3 because we changed it to plus a negative. And then negative 2 times 6 is my negative 2 times 6 right there. What's left is to just do that arithmetic. Negative 2 times 4 is a negative 8. A negative 2 times a negative 3 makes positive 6. Negative 2 times 6 makes negative 12. If you don't need to write out those products and you can do this in your head, you're going to multiply negative 3 times x, which makes negative 3x. Then you're going to do negative 3 times negative 3 because this is a plus a negative. Negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9y. Negative 3 times 2z is going to be a negative 6z. So that is your distributive property. It's just a matter of remembering to take this number outside of the parentheses and multiply times everything inside the parentheses. If you are multiplying by a negative, be sure you remember to change some signs. Notice this used to be a positive because I multiplied by a negative, now it's negative. This used to be negative inside because I multiplied by a negative, it now has an opposite sign which is positive. This used to be a positive sign inside because I have multiplied by a negative, it's turned it into a negative.